Nice to have you here on a Friday. That's great. And as you can hear, I'm not a native speaker. Für Deutsch bin ich da schon. So if there's any word or anything you say, oh, sorry, I have problems to understand the word or I don't understand anything, please be so nice. Feel free just to ask whenever you want. The other point is you are always welcome with any kind of question. Of course, that's why we are meeting here. And so we will start. What you see here, my presentation, you will receive this afterwards as a PDF. So it's no need to make so many notes as you like. So one word to my IQ network. We are sponsored by the German Ministry for Employment and Social Affairs. And we are working together with the Employment Authority. So our job is, and it was in the beginning, especially for every foreign person coming here with a foreign degree, to support you. It's not completely your situation because one of you make your first degree here. So, but nevertheless, our intention is to inform you about all the things which are important for you for your residence permit and for your employment permit. We are organized that in every government, in every district, like Bundesland, we have a network, and I'm working for the network here in Thuringia. And so we go into the details. Don't be afraid, it's not a law lecture, no, but some things we have to discuss. So if we're talking about immigration law, we talk about especially about two groups, EU citizen and third country citizen. Is someone of you holding the citizenship of an EU country? For example, Italian or Romania or so? Okay, so I have the pleasure tonight to have all third country colleagues here. So that's fine. And for you, you have a residence permit and title, Aufenthaltserlaubnis. So for you, you are the second group on this picture. You have your residence permit, your residence title, and we discuss all the important law details for your situation. And I wrote the short term in German. You see Aufenthaltsgesetz, Aufenthaltsverordnung, Beschäftigungsverordnung und Integrationsverordnung. These are the short things you find on your residence card, on your plastic card, and we will have a look at in details. So what's the standard procedure? The standard procedure is that the applicant asks for a visa at the embassy or at the consulate. The consulate has to ask the Ausländerbehörde, the immigration office. Perhaps they have to ask the employment authority, the Agentur für Arbeit. That's the typical way. So any one of you in the lucky situation that you were allowed to come to Germany without a visa? Okay, so because we have a small group of countries following international treaties, citizens of these special countries like US or South Korea or Israel or Canada, for example, they are allowed to start the procedure in Germany. They are allowed to come without a visa. Everyone else, obviously all of you, you had the pleasure to see the first impression of Germany by visiting an embassy. I'm so sorry. I know it's not always the best first impression, but you see, we are nice. So the most of the discussion we had to do with the embassy or the consulate was about the purpose or the ground of your residency here. You had an interview, you were asked what is the idea, why are you interested to study in Germany, and all these things. And we will have a look why this is important. This is a typical residence title, our Aufenthaltstitel. I think all of you have such a plastic card, or has someone another paper? Okay, so makes it quite easy for us, you know. Does everyone know which figure of the German Residence Act is written on your plastic card? Which figure or which number? 16. Anyone else with another? Yes and no, I see. It's always the same. Oh, let's have a look of my card. Yeah, so is there anyone who has not 16? We will see. So 16 is a typical one because Section 16 in the German Residence Act means the purpose is to study. So that's why we start this. You know your plastic card, you know the green document, Zusatzblatt, additional paper, on which usually is written anything about your employment contract or employment permit or so. So sometimes you have this. So what's the typical idea about the change of status, den Statuswechsel? You start with a visa. The next step is to receive a residence permit, a temporary, for duration, for 1 year or 2 years or so, and for a special purpose or ground. In your situation, it is the study. The third step is to have the permanent permit, means a settlement permit. That's what makes sense to organize to receive this as soon as possible. So the idea in our law is that we say, okay, to enter with a visa, perhaps to attend a German class, that's a typical thing. Some of you have done, some not. And then to study, and afterwards with your degree, to go on job seeking, and successful found a job, then to find an employment, the first working contract, or to open the first company of your own. That's the idea. So that's, if we are asked to consult or to start to plan what to do and how to organize your status here, our question is, like I did always, the first is, please be so nice to tell me what is your citizenship? What is your current residency document? Are there any family members with you? Especially is a family member who is a EU citizen, your spouse or your child with you. This can offer you some privilege. Which job or which purpose are you interested in? Which skills do you have? And which documents regarding your skills can you present? So this is especially for the colleagues which are here to start a master study. Usually you have done your bachelor outside, abroad, and then we ask for your things about this. If someone come here for the first study to make to study to receive a bachelor, of course he has only a school degree, nothing else. So, as I have mentioned, this is not a law degree, not a law lecture. So we start not with learning all the sections. We have a look in the first situation. Just an example. We have the Italian Carla. She considers to study in Nordhausen, and we have to ask which approvals does she need. And her Russian husband or her Russian boyfriend wants to accompany her. Which approvals does he need? So let's have a look. The important part is Italian. Carla is an Italian, so that means she is an EU citizen. So she enjoys the right of free movement. So because her purpose is study, so she needs no permit regarding her residency. She just has to present her Personalausweis, so not the passport, the other document, and then she can start. Completely different to your situation. You have to present a passport, you have to be registered, and you have to be in close contact to the beloved immigration office. So, to discuss your purpose. So, it's not hers. Her Russian husband, he is a third country person, citizen. He wants to accompany her. So, as long as he is a family member and a husband or a child is a family member, he enjoys some sort of VIP status, but he enjoys a deduced right of free movement as a family member. He can visit the immigration office and they say, okay, you are a family member of an EU citizen, okay, here's your card. No long discussion. He just has to make sure he is a husband, a family member. As a boyfriend, not married, he will be treated like you. Just ask what's the purpose. So because being a boyfriend is nice to have and wonderful and really romantic, but according to law, let's hope it's romantic. So means, according to law, immigration law, he's not a family member. So he's just treated as a third country person. So this first situation gives us the difference between EU citizen and third countries. It shows, give us the option to see to the focus on the purposes or the grounds. The idea in our immigration law is that we always have to present a special purpose or ground. Language course, study, education, job seeking, employment, humanitarian grounds, family reunification. Always you are asked what is the purpose. So the idea is the principle that you have to mention the real and current purpose as soon as possible. Means if you enter the embassy or the consulate and you say, oh, I'm interested to be in Thuringia as a tourist. And then here you decide, oh, I want to study. Not the best idea. We will have a look at. So the idea is you start with a visa, then following this purpose mentioned in the visa, you receive your first residence title here. As you did, you came with a visa as a student, you received your first plastic card as a student, you enjoy life as a student, hopefully, and next plastic card will also be a student. So that's the way it is. We just have a look on the second situation. Ahmed from Pakistan applies for a tourist visa in the German embassy. He wants to study in Ilmenau. So our first idea is, what is his purpose and what will happen? So purposes could be a visit, a language course. Perhaps he's coming just for 3 weeks for a language course. So that's possible as a tourist. Or wants he to prepare his studies, or want he to start his studies. So if we want to study, then we have to say, sorry, you have to leave and to return with a fitting visa. Because when you come with a tourist visa, that means you told the story you will return. So is it possible to change from the status from tourist to study? No, it isn't. So that's why it makes always sense to say, okay, if I consider to go to another country for this special purpose, to consider, is it necessary to ask the embassy or to ask the immigration office and to be clear about the purpose. Completely different is the situation if he has another or a different purpose or ground additionally. In the moment when he's sitting here in the Bürgeramt and they say, sorry, you're coming with a tourist visa, my dear. You say, by the way, I have an Italian wife working here. Okay, another story. So this is just to make clear what the idea of our immigration law is. So means I've discussed the situation, he's coming from abroad into the Schengen area. Now let's see in another way. He's traveling or relocating within Europe. And within Europe in this kind means within the Schengen area. So he studies in Italy and holds an Italian residence title for students. And he wants to study in Ilmenau. So again, what is the purpose? Why is he coming? And what will happen? We have it. he's holding not a tourist visa, he's holding a residence permit, a residence title, but from another country. We have no European residence title, we have no European employment permit. So, for a long time, we just said, sorry, if you have a residence title in Italy, and now you want to come to Germany for studying, you have to apply here for a new one. But step by step, we go international. According to the European law, we had the transformation of the Richtlinie, and this means directive, and this means research and students. We had this 18 months before, and the result was great, because now for students within the Schengen area, you have the opportunity to relocate with your national permit from one country to another country for the same purpose. Means, if he says, I have an Italian residence title as a student, and I want to go for obligated internship in Germany as part of my studies, he can do this without a new permit. So, if he says, I want to continue my studies in Germany, he just has to apply as any other Erasmus student or so, here in Jena, or in Ilmenau, and say, I want to attend the classes in the next term. So he will be enrolled, accepted, everything is fine. He has not to visit the immigration office here. He is allowed. He is a student here in Ilmenau, and if he's not staying longer than about a year, maximum about a year. So, you can imagine what a surprise for the immigration office or for the police in the control if you say, okay, here's my Italian residence card, but I'm allowed to stay here and to study here. Modern times, you see. If he says, okay, I want to attend for 1 or for 2 terms, and then I will return to Italy, he has to return to Italy in time and to ask to apply for an extension of his Italian permit. So if he's able to finish his studies in Germany, so then it will be accepted. Then he will hold a German degree, and then he will be in the same situation like another foreign or international student here with a German degree, apply for the next permit. So that means in this constellation, he's allowed to stay because it's always the same. He continues with his purpose, completely different to the idea of the tourist. So the intermediate result is that if we note the import facts, we know that visa is a sticker in the passport. It's really important for me to underline this, because German is one of the languages where there's a difference between visa and residence title. Perhaps you have noted. If you come after 2 years studying here to the immigration office, say, yes, I have a problem with my visa. Why visa? So that's the one point. You have always to differ in the tourist and the long-term visa. So please have a look at this. Your residence title, your plastic card, regards always to the current purpose. If you want to change your purpose, you have to organize this. And really important, on your residence title is mentioned a condition regarding the employment. So, and as a student, what is possible for you? What can you, how long, or in which range are you allowed to work?
Part-time, 1 hour per week.
One idea, just collecting ideas.
Well, if it's full-time, it's only allowed to be 120 days. If it's part-time, it can be only 240 days. And if it's part-time, it cannot be more than 4 hours in a day. If
Second idea? Anyone else collecting good ideas? For one? For two? Done. Okay, we will discuss these two ideas. So, it is correct, as the colleague said, thanks for this. It is mentioned in the German Residence Act. As a student, you are allowed 120 days or 240 half days per year in a calendar year. So, and correct, as you told us, maximum 1 day means usually 8 hours, half means 4. So it makes no sense to argue in my company 14 hours are usual, so half day is 7 hours. No. 8 hours is regular amount according to our employment time law, Arbeitszeitgesetz. It could until 10 hours, but not every day. So with the idea 8 hours and 4 hours, you are on the perfect way. The other point is we are talking about several spheres, you could say. Immigration office has this focus on the 120 days a year. Social insurance says, and tax issues for the company says a student shouldn't work more than 20 hours per week. And that's why the company usually asks you for this. And then the next point is they ask you not for special internal reasons not to work more than these hours or so. But today our focus is on the immigration office and immigration law, and so that means this is as long as you are a student. So which type of jobs are not to be considered for this amount of the 120 days? There are some jobs you can do without the regulation. Mentioned in the law and in your card or on your document, you have a long sentence. You have 120 Tage, 240 halbe Tage, außer studentische Nebentätigkeiten, except typical, unique university things. And I have to have a look for the technique, otherwise everyone outside is unhappy. Kann ich weitermachen? Yeah. Okay. So that means if you make an internship and this is obligated in your curricula, have you been aware of this 120 days? No. If it's an obligation in your curriculum, you can ignore the 120 days. If it's a job which is very strong linked to your studies, you can ignore. If it's a job at the university, not every job is close linked. So means if you make a job on the faculty, on the department, in any connection to the university, please double check if this is freed of this condition or if you have to count your days. So that means if you consider to make any job connecting to the university sphere, please contact the immigration office, the Ausländerbehörde, and ask them, is it okay to ignore the 120 days or not? So, for any other job outside the university world, of course you have to consider, okay, is this obligation for my studies or not? So, you find another thing in your card and in your residence title. It's Beschäftigung erlaubt and Erwerbstätigkeit erlaubt. So, what's the difference? Beschäftigung means employment. You have a working contract. And Erwerbstätigkeit is more. It's employment and it's self-employment. So, now you have to learn German in a special way. Because if you have a freelance contract. It's a contract. Is freelance contract employment or self-employment?
Self-employment?
Yep, this is really important. Please, it's really important to see the difference. Contract alone is not enough. You have always to check, is this employment? Who is paying my tax? Who is paying my health insurance? If the company is paying my tax, so it's employment. If the university, the company, who else, offer me a contract and it's my duty to pay the tax and it's my duty to organize the health insurance, then you are freelance, you are self-employed. This is not allowed as long as you are a student, because in your permit is noted Erwerbstätigkeit not gestattet. So if you are in a field working as a student or planning to work in this field and it makes sense for you beside your studies additionally to work on a freelance level, there will be an idea how to find a win-win situation. But you, as long as you're only a student with the ordinary condition, be aware you are not allowed to work as a freelance. So, and if you don't understand the details on the contract which is offered to you, ask someone who is able to read and to translate. Not only Mr. Google. Even Mr. Google is really good, but no, please not. Because if you think it is a good idea to make this contract and you go to the immigration office and present, really proud, all the money you have earned in the last year, and they say, it's nice, but it's self-employed, it's forbidden. We have to discuss about criminal law, my love. Woo! Then you need no coffee more this day. You see what I mean? Good. I think sometimes my English is sufficient. So, that means we go to the intermediate result, change of status. The general idea is you came to organize your residence following a plan. Study, job seeking, perhaps marry, perhaps not, employment, perhaps marry, perhaps not. So, but nevertheless, you can change and you can leave this line. The idea from visa, limited title, title, unlimited title, not every day, every life is so easy. Sometimes, you see it, we have to lose this way or to leave this way, and we have to follow another purpose. So let's have a look. What can happen? The idea is, the ordinary way is after the study is before the job. So in the middle you see study, your current situation, your section is 16, subsection 1. Then you have your degree, congratulations, mom is proud, daddy is proud, you are happy, you start your job seeking. So you switch over to 16, subsection 5. How long are you allowed to stay in this status?
1 year and a half.
Exactly, maximum.
16
Exact.
16 months.
18.
18 months.
18. So you're completely right, yeah. But you are not, it's not your obligation to stay in the status. If you find a good employment, ASAP, you can change it. You are not forced to stay in this job seeking. Because your target is, and your idea, you want an unlimited permit, a settlement permit you find in the first line. And you will receive the settlement permit minimum after 2 years, after you have finished, and you have hold a title, purpose, employment. So that's why your interest is to say, okay, as soon as possible I want to start my title, purpose, employment, to be 2 years in this employment status, and then to ask for the settlement permit. Means unlimited, wow, and no further discussion about purposes. So makes sense. So far so good. Sometimes life is hard, or we could say shit happens. You have to break up and to cancel your studies. So Mom is unhappy, you are unhappy, everyone is unhappy. And usually they had said, sorry for you, you have to leave. No. In the moment when you broke up studies and say, sorry, I have to cancel, and you consider to stay here and to continue with an education, not academic, so then you receive another permit based on 17, and you go to the employment school, Berufsschule, and you, as someone else who said, okay, I make a job and make education for this, not academic education, I take the other way. And this is one of our most demanded jobs on the positive list. For example, some IT, some electric jobs, nurses and so. And you finish this, congratulations, then you have the same. You have a degree, not a university degree, you have an employment degree, you go on job seeking, and then you go on employment. So if life is hard and tough and rough and you say, oh, I suppose I'm afraid I won't finish my studies, don't go home, and so just go to the university. We have enough colleagues able to support you. We have enough colleagues really informed how to help. Because sometimes you see usually there are two situations. One is, oh, sorry, I didn't expect this way would be to study in Germany. I had a complete different idea. That's normal. Or you say, shit happens, I missed this testing the third time. Mathematics is not mine, or German, or whatever. So you are forced to go. It's not on you. You would like to continue, but the department says, sorry, no chance at all. So then there could be a good idea to say, okay, I go the other way, I go in my education and I will work as a nurse or something, IT professional or so. So this is possible. And that's another point. We thank to the European law we had this change. Before we had this not. So if you have your status as a current student or, for example, in job seeking, so what the general idea is always, we want you to avoid the termination of the title. You don't want to lose it. Of course, you have done so much for this. The overview is, if you see residency and residency, so the idea is this the line. But sometimes you need a break. Have a break, have a Kit Kat? No, not only. So means if you consider to leave Germany for good reasons, how long can you leave without any problem?
6 months?
Yeah. No day longer. It doesn't matter why you are in the situation you can't return. Civil war, whatever. No one is interested, so consider where to go, not in the area of civil war. No, not making jokes about this. But this is strict rules. If you are outside 6 months and a day, you have lost everything. And so if you consider to go outside for a longer time, perhaps to see the family, to have a first job, for example, you have your degree and you say, okay, I have 18 months for job seeking, so why not going for 8 months job to Jordan also, and then I return. Be aware of this 6 months. So what's the solution? The solution is for your break, it's the holiday letter. Means you have to contact the immigration office to explain, I will go out abroad for more than 6 months for this reason, and it's just a break. It's not a goodbye to Germany. That's really difficult to explain, but important. You have to underline it's a break, and of course you will return. Then you will receive the letter, the document. You are allowed to be outside for 10 months or so. And then keep in mind this date and the deadline. There's no discussion about, but this could be a good idea to say this. It is possible to apply for this even if you are outside. Typical situation, I go for 3 months to the family and mom will be seriously ill. No one expected this. So then you have to contact your immigration office to explain, and you say, okay, I'm sorry, I need for 7 months because everything is horror. Mom is dead, or we are afraid she could, or anything like this. So keep in mind at this point, this is about a reason for a break, for a termination is being outside longer than 6 months. First idea. Second idea, you can lose even if you are less than 6 months outside when you have your center of your life outside Germany. So even if you say, oh, every 5 months I return for 2 weeks, and then I go back. You say, so I wasn't outside for longer than 6 months. I've read it on Facebook. I know 2 people, they are doing this, so it must work. No, it won't. So if you consider to leave Germany and consider to say, perhaps in the next 2 years, center of my life, Lebensmittelpunkt, will be outside Germany. You have to be aware how to organize your life. So there's even another possibility to say, okay, immigration office, I consider to go for 11 months for a job to India, and then I will return. And after 10 months in India to say, oh no, I will stay here and Europe is nice for other people. Then it's okay, but you had at least the opportunity to return. So because I know in the first information package from the immigration office is this idea about the break not included. So that's my part to explain it to you, just to keep it in mind. So that means if we have a repetition regarding the work permit, just to overview it and to say, we have 3 persons. We have Susan holding a permit, section 16, subsection 1, means she's a student. We are talking about the 120 days, perhaps about the special situation, asking for a special permit, but ordinary situation. We have Abdul holding a permit 16, subsection 5, means he's a job seeker after successful studies, means 18 months. He has a condition, Erwerbstätigkeit erlaubt, means employment and self-employment allowed. He can, while he's on job seeking, he can work wherever and whatever he wants. No discussion with the employment authority. And we have Lisa. Lisa's holding a job seeker visa based on 80C. That means she is also a job seeker, but she's coming from abroad. And do you know how long Lisa is allowed to stay here? 6 months. And what about her condition regarding employment?
She's a full-time. She can work full-time.
No. That's the difference. If you come from outside and you are on a job seeker status, you are not allowed to work at all. Because we are focused on the purpose seeking. I don't say it's realistic. Best regards to the ministry. So it's because you come and you have to make an internship or anything like this. But as soon as you see, okay, I want to sign the contract, you have to go to the immigration office and to say, okay, from job seeking I switch over to employment from 18C to 18 or to the blue card. So, and that's why someone who is outside, abroad, asking for a visa for job seeking, this is only possible for academics. and they have to present in the embassy the money and the health insurance for 6 months. It's a lot of money if you consider. So perhaps you have heard we're considering to adapt our residence law. And at the moment we are discussing if we are willing to allow that someone is allowed at least for 10 hours to work or so. Because it's really unrealistic to come here for 6 months with all the money and so. You have done this for your first year as a student. No? You open your bank account with the money. You know what huge amount of money I'm talking to. And the other thing is we're considering if we are interested to open this possibility for not academics, for specialists. But consider a nurse coming from Indonesia. Ask for all the money for 6 months. Whew! All the family has to collect a lot of money for this visa. So that means if someone coming from abroad, he is only allowed for 6 months and he is not allowed to work while he or she is seeking. You are allowed to seek 18 months and you are allowed to work whatever and whenever you want. But keep in mind the idea and the focus is to find a good employment, not only to work. So that's regarding the work permits. So this is really, looks like a law lecture we ignore. Just to give you an impression what figures I'm talking about. These are the figures in our German Residence Act. And if you want to read it in English, you find Gesetze im Internet. This is the official website, and there you find the English translation also. So that means if you are just checking in your emails or in your Google or Facebook or wherever you see any information about immigration law, read whatever you want. You are smart. But if you want the correct wording of the law, please take only Gesetze im Internet in English or in German as you like it. Because there are so many changes in the last weeks, months, it's really important to see the correct word. So these are the job seeking things, blah, 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 blah. So now how to organize your future is always a good thing to consider on a Friday evening. The real purpose to start the procedure and to offer the new purpose if you are interested to change your purpose. Okay, so far so good, that's what we understood. Here you see Gesetze im Internet, the link for the law. And here you see the second law, which is important for you. This Beschäftigungsverordnung is our, you could say, employment law. In this law is mentioned all the details which could be interesting if a third country person has to consider how to organize. For you it's an easy life because you are a student. And as a student who finishes his studies successfully, you need no approval at all. That's fine. So, while you are studying currently, as long as the internship is your application, no approval necessary, required. Okay. What about a voluntary internship? You want to make the third or fourth internship. Do you need a permit for this voluntary internship? Yes, because it's some sort of job, some sort of employment. So if you remember the situation that our Ahmed coming from Italy, Italian residence permit, comes here for let's say for 9 months. Is he allowed to work here? Should, because you are allowed the 120 days as a student. He's coming as a student. It's accepted he's coming as a student. So it would be unfair. And the idea is in our new law that we say, yes, the person is accepted, but how many days? The German idea is that someone who's coming here in this status, this person is allowed 30% of the time he or she is staying here, he or she can work. So means here for 9 months as a student, 3 months employment. So if you consider to go to Italy or wherever Europe is fine, you have to double check if this country you want to go to has transformed the European law in such a rule. And then, okay, if you apply at the university in the other country, you can ask them, will you accept me as a student for maximum 1 year? And what is about the residency law if I'm there? What's about my employment as a student? They have an academic service. Most of the countries have transformed in a similar way. It should be possible for you. And now a really interesting question. The days you are working outside has to be integrated in our German 120 days or not? Yes? No? Perhaps? Who knows?
Yes.
To see it strict? Yes. I suppose no. We had this question in the lecture before, but I have to double check. As far as I see, I suppose the 120 days are only in Germany, but I'm not sure about. So that means for you, please be aware of the risks and please double check the calculation. So that's always important. And please also, as you always do, I know, please note exact which time, how many days you spend working in Germany. Because if you go to another company here, you will be asked how many of this 120 days are saved for this year or not. So it makes sense to be very clear about this. It's the best for you. It makes no sense to say, even if you know I have spent 100 days this year, and you start a new job, and you tell the new employer, oh, I just spent 50 days. Because following to your working salary, also the social insurance contributions are paid. Means we have a data transfer between the authorities, and they see how many days you have worked. And so it makes no sense to ignore the real figure of days. It only causes trouble. It doesn't make sense. So that was about internships, obligated, no approval from the employment authority. Okay. Then we had the loop to the idea if you go outside Germany. So, and now we return to Germany. If you have finished successfully your studies, you have your degree, and you are on job seeking, you have the condition employment allowed and self-employment allowed. If you start the first employment, section 18 or 19a, you also no approval necessary. Guys, you are VIP foreigners. We love you. You have studied here. You have the degree. We need you. We love you. So why should we bother you with any employment discussion? So means with your German degree, it will work. The only thing is you have to discuss with the immigration office, not with the employment, not with the Arbeitsagentur. So far, so good. If you have a foreign degree and you apply only with your foreign bachelor or foreign master degree, not a German one, then you have to discuss, this is in subsection 3, then the employment authority has to check. But for you, it's no discussion because you have the German degree. Just if someone says, but I have a friend who has a friend who has a friend and who has suffered this. First of all, ask about the degree. So, by the way, if someone is living here for a special period or is working as long minimum 2 years, so we have no approval from the employment authority. So why talking so many things? What's the story in a nutshell? With a German degree, afterwards, you have no discussion with the employment authority. You only discuss with the immigration authority. If you go outside for an internship or for study time, please double check that which kind of obligation you have about working permit as a student. So far, so good. Any questions from your side? Yeah, usually it does. Because usually the voluntary is not obligated, that's why it's voluntary. And so it's kind of employment. Yeah. Sometimes nowadays we have changes in the curricula. Sometimes some department says you are allowed to make more than one internship. And so perhaps it's possible to say 2 or 3 internship can obligate it. Then it's of course not voluntary. Yeah. Are we talking outside means outside Germany but within the Schengen area? The maximum 360 days, about 1 year. So if you go abroad, maximum 6 months. So you could say this. So exactly you have to see if this day a working day. For example, you have a job which includes to work on Saturday and Sunday. Then of course this will be calculated. Otherwise we are talking this amount, this 120 means working days. As far as I see, but I'm just the lady for the lecture. So, as far as I see, a weekend and holiday is not integrated in this 120. But to be sure, it makes always sense to ask the immigration office. I will do it on my own afterwards, but please, before you, let's say, if you have about 100 days, so only 20 left, and you say, oh, we will see, so less time, but so long year. Please contact the immigration office just to say, how do you calculate this? It's always better to start the conversation in advance and not afterwards. So, okay, any other, yeah. Always we are hoping the best, but no. So we had a tough discussion with the immigration offices, and most of the immigration offices, and as far as I can see, Jena included, they say, sorry, 18 months are 18 months. It's your idea if you want to spend time outside. It's privilege enough that you can save the money, the amount from the past. But it's not possible to say, okay, I have 6 months from my 18 months period, 1 year outside, and then I continue with counting my 18 months. No. I'm sorry, but this is the opinion.
Okay, for instance, I went to a European Union country for a voluntary internship, but it is not 120 days, it's for instance 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Is it prohibited or?
The 120 days are only if you are working in Germany. So if you go outside Germany to a European country in the Schengen area, then maximum 360 days. If you use the permit, the residence title to relocate. So that's a good question. Thank you so much for this. For me, it's so obvious. My fault. Sorry, I will repeat. The termination will be if you are outside Germany for more than 6 months. Everyone agree? How to avoid a termination? One way is to ask for this holiday paper according to to section 51. Second way, as an international student, use the possibility of this relocation title. You apply for at the university abroad and you enroll as a student there. Then no discussion about termination. So that's fine. Third idea, you ask, what if I go outside Germany, not enrolling, not attending a foreign university? I go there for an internship longer than 6 months. I'm not sure. I think the best way would be to ask for this holiday letter. Why I'm not sure? Because this new law situation with this relocation within the Schengen area for students and for internship are not so old. So I don't have any detail in mind currently. Sorry. So I will double check this and I will write a short statement for Katja. And so afterwards, when you ask for the presentation, I will add on this presentation about the possibilities for voluntary internships. So it makes it safe. I have the chance to double check. I ask you just for a short period of days.
Okay, but we talked about European Union, but the Britain and Ireland is different. So
Yeah, it's
for
abroad.
6 months, is it included because they are European country but not Schengen country?
Yeah. So that means if you go outside Schengen, you should always treat these countries, European countries outside the Schengen area, as third area, like going to India or anywhere else. So, and in this moment I have to underline, my job is to inform, and I do it best, but all the details has to be discussed in advance with the immigration office. That's for your own safety. It makes it better, not only to see what you find and what you hear, and even if I do my best to give all the information, you are only sure if you ask the immigration office. So, and not only on telephone, give them an email or ask for a personal meeting or for a written statement, that you can be sure. Okay? So, yeah, lady. It should be double checked if being outside as a student can ignore the rule of the 6 months. The first answer from an immigration office, I suppose, would be, sorry, you have been outside longer than 6 months. On the other hand, if you return and if the immigration office was informed and accepted, it should be the way that they included this idea to say, okay, we give you the permit to stay longer outside and there's no termination. So, but this is, oh, we have music also in the room, great. So that means we have to have a double look, and then the details, and to be safe about the content is only possible to, you have to discuss with the immigration office. So for this setting, it's only important to say, okay, what is important, which information have I to note and to keep in mind? And this is about the 6 months, about leaving, and about working permit, even if I'm on an internship. These are the key points for this. So this was last time the same? Yep, got it. So job seeking, just to repeat, if it's after your successful studies, you have maximum 18 months, and you have the condition Erwerbstätigkeit erlaubt. So sometimes someone asks me, okay, what's about I have spent my 18 months, I have heard about the 6 months, could I just add this? No. The idea is the possibility for the 6 months according to section 18c is only for someone coming from abroad. Only if someone is holding a residence title, living in Germany, and is holding a residence title, purpose employment, this person can ask for 18c. This person switched from 18, for example, he's here, the person is here for employment, holding the title based on 18. Unfortunately, lose his job, and then ask, at least may I stay for 18 months. Then the immigration office says, okay, so the last title was purpose employment, okay, you are allowed. Someone as a student has the privilege to had 18 months for job seeking. This should work. But there's just a little solution sometimes. If a student on 18 months job seeking was employed more than a mini job, has paid his social contributions, Sozialversicherung, more than 1 year, after 1 year you are allowed to apply for unemployment money, Arbeitslosengeld 1. And if you are, after 18 months, in this situation that you are allowed to apply for the unemployment money, sometimes the immigration office says, okay, this is a special situation because you have worked. But it's not the general idea. Our idea is from job seeking to a good job and not to a complicated idea. But so at least it is there, sometimes there's light in the night. So let's see the better way. Let's see, you have, after job seeking, you say, okay, I found a good job and I want my purpose, my title, purpose, employment. And what's the difference between employment and blaue Karte, blue card? Everyone's talking about the blue card. Everyone says, I need a blue card. So what's about blue card? Let's have a look on the right side. You need a German diploma or a foreign diploma equivalent to a German diploma. It's not your problem because you have a German degree. First point, done. This has to be appropriate employment. That means you have a match between your degree and your job description, your first job. As an engineer, you have finished studies engineering and you found a job as an engineer. Done. So the required salary means for a blue card type 1, the high income, 52,000. So it's not the typical salary every youngster or young colleague will receive in Thuringia in the first job. So that means, what about if you are on the list, on the positive list for the most demanded jobs, then about 14,000 is okay. Sometimes it doesn't work. You say you have a great company in Thuringia, but about a gap in the salary. And so it's not possible to say, okay, you can receive the blaue Karte. There's no reason to leave Thuringia at once because the purpose is employment, so you can switch over to the title 18, employment. What's the difference between these two? The first residence title is issued for 1 to 3 years. In the blue card, the first perhaps for 4 years. Okay. When is it possible to switch over to a settlement permit? With a German degree and an employment, after 2 years, you can change your title to a settlement permit. 2 years. With a blue card, you can switch over after 21 months. So we have only a difference of 3 months. It's not so important. So just for you to give you an impression, because if you read a lot of statements in the internet and so, and everyone is asking about, wow, you need a blue card. It's of course a blue card is nice, but it's not the only title for employment, just to calm you down. You have a question? No? Okay. So that's just following the employment. Cases to discuss. Yeah. Coming with an Italian title, staying here less than 1 year, and finishing here the studies. That's important. Otherwise, you couldn't go for job seeking. So the person coming with the Italian title, finishing here, so the person has a German degree, and with this German degree, the person goes to the German immigration office and says, I want switch over to German job seeking title for 18 months. So first scenario. Second scenario, person comes with this colleague comes with an Italian title, stays here for about 1 year, has to return to extend in Italy and to continue in Italy, or has to decide, I am not interested to return to Italy and I will apply here for a German title purpose studies. Then the German immigration office will ask him, okay, what do you think, when will you finish your studies? Because job seeking always starts after you have finished. So that's the point. That's according to law. The real life, everyone outside knows the real life, is that you come as a student and you receive an offer for an employment, although you haven't finished your studies, especially in the IT. This is typical. The immigration office will say, sorry, you need to finish your education before you start an employment, as long as you are on the strict way. And no, I know it's not, it's a long day for you, but just 2 minutes. Consider this person is in a master study. Master, 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 master. Want to terminate master because good job. In this moment, the immigration office would say, sorry, you have a gap, you have no diploma as a master. Then the person says, yes, but this employment, this offer for a work contract fits to my foreign bachelor. I have a bachelor and I try to receive a German master. And then the student says, forget the German master. It's a nice idea, but not for me. And it's a great job. That's the real life nowadays. I know this. So because we have so many cool jobs, and so often students say, yes, but perhaps I should do this with my bachelor degree from abroad. And in this moment, the immigration office would say, my love, I ask you what your purpose is. And you answered master studies. And now you come to me and say employment with bachelor. What are we talking about? So it's sounds a bit like mom. Sometimes the immigration office sounds a bit like mom. We love mom and we love the immigration office, but sometimes it's a bit complicated. So, as always, mom has a good heart. It couldn't happen that although the immigration office has a good heart and accept your story. And it could be that they say, no, sorry, you have to leave and to apply for a long-term visa for employment matching your bachelor degree, and we ignore that you determinate your master studies. But the same situation, I'm the lady for the lecture and the information. You have to discuss this in detail with your responsible immigration office. And sometimes if someone tells me I would like to determinate my master study because I have a good job, my second question is, why should you determinate? Why can't you continue and finish your master degree? Because it offers you so much more. Now I sound like mom, I know. But sometimes it's worth to double check if you do this. Okay, yeah.
For instance, like he said, European country but not Schengen country.
Mm-hmm.
Student regular there in like say Romania, Britain, and he came here for a partnership, and he finished the partnership here and he graduated. He has now both degree from German and from the home university, and he want to work here in Germany. He can do this or not?
If someone finishes studies in Germany and afterwards is holding a German degree,
He will like he studied courses here in German, but the
so
final degree
we are talking about the degree. Is it a Romanian or UK degree, including sometimes in Germany, or is it a German degree? So that's what we always have to double check.
Even if he has a residency here as a student,
Yeah.
he want to extend it as seeking for work. He can do this or not?
Of course, everyone can seek for work, but based on different sections. Means we return to the question, which degree? Is it a German degree or is it a foreign degree? That's the point. So that's, sometimes law is so simple.
And sometimes
Yeah, sometimes not, I know. Yeah, another question. So yes, if I told you important is which degree, which country's degree, and now I have someone, not 2 passports, but 2 degrees, an Italian degree and a German degree, for example, then of course a person can use the German degree. So, but just to come back to your good question, if the person has a status here, the residency permit as a student. So it's nice, a permit, but important is a degree. And so that we had this only now for 18 months. It's not so long. So we are collecting all the experience and the ideas and constellations, and we will see. But if you are planning your future and the course of your status, so it makes sometimes it makes sense to say, okay, I go just for 1 term to Romania, return to receive the German degree. Or to say, okay, no, it's nice for me to have a French degree and start job seeking there. So, because, just to repeat, we have no European working permit and we have no European residence title. And we have not the privilege that you are able with 1 degree from 1 country, you will be accepted in every country for job seeking in an easy way. We are working on this. This idea with the students' relocation, okay, it's a good start.
from the Schengen or from Europe?
Schengen. We are always discussing Schengen. So sometimes I just have to consider if I don't talk too bad, but no, to make it sure, to construct it on a safe way, Schengen. And if you consider to go to another European country, best regards to Brexit country, so means then you have to double check before and to keep in touch with your Ausländerbehörde, your immigration office, and perhaps with the embassy. So, yeah. The 2 things I haven't mentioned yet, if you hold a blue card. With a blue card you are allowed to stay outside Germany for 12 months, not 6 months. That's one point. The other point is regarding the family reunification. If your spouse your spouse is allowed to come for the reunification without German language knowledge. But as far as I see, I hope I see it correct this way, it's necessary that the marriage was before you entered Germany. It's no help if you start here your studies, or at least before you receive your blue card. So that means you finish your studies, you receive your first blue card, and a year later you marry. This won't help. Because in this family reunification issue, always you have to check when is the date of the marriage important. And we have some constellations that family reunification is easier if the person was married when the person came here, entered Germany. So I would like just to leave it on this way, and any detail regarding this perhaps later or in another lecture, because it's a lot of details. But one point I would like to mention why blue card is so popular for this family reunification. One point is family reunification to a reference person here with an employment permit. Keep in mind, you have your degree, and statistically, most of the couples in your situation, the other partner has also a degree. And if someone with a degree wants to enter Germany for the purpose family reunification, this educated person doesn't need German language skills. So this is an exception. So that means only if your spouse has no degree, no academic degree, we discuss about German skills. So far for this topic, other things we have to discuss in another lecture because it's too complicated in the last 5 minutes. But to make this round and to close this loop regarding the blue card, with the blue card, if you hold a blue card longer than 18 months and you go to another Schengen country to continue to work with the blue card, then the German time of blue card and the, let's say, French time of blue card can be added, and the summarize will allow you that you can apply in France for the French blue card. So that's nice. You don't start again, but then you have to consider what is your interest, to receive a French blue card or unlimited then, unlimited in France or unlimited in Germany or in another country. So that's the point. So you see, there are a lot of ideas how to organize your future, but nevertheless, the most important thing is to enjoy your studies. No, to finish your studies and to enjoy, please, otherwise it won't work. And to keep in touch with the project of Career and Welcome from Katja's team, or to be in touch with the academic service or other international students groups offering some information. And don't be afraid to keep in contact with the immigration office and ask for some information and discuss your ideas. And usually it makes sense to discuss and to make plans in advance, not in a hurry within 1 week if you say, oh, sorry, I have forgotten to inform you. So that's the point. And so, of course, in the World Wide Web, you find a lot of things. Please prefer the information offered by the red one, for example, by the Employment Authority, and also by the ministries. You find so many things. For example, making in Germany, you find all the important things. It's the official thing you find. No, it's the website run by the government, official information in 8 languages now. And please see that you find information from the ministry or Ask IQ network or university, because we have so many things in the internet, old status, not complete or not double checked. So that's at least it's worth to double check this. It was my great pleasure to be here, and I thank you so much for such an interested audience. Thank you so much.